wonder what we can buy at the Nomad Bazaar. Okay, so that's really cool. So they're going to run into some nomads at some point when they're doing their foraging. So I think what Karn-Esh is going to do is they're going to make their way around this way and explore these hexes down here. So first off, they're going to go to C4. Hey Wargamers, welcome back. Purple Druid here with another episode of Druid Quest Kal-Arath solo gaming. And we're going to finish up the week of rest that our intrepid adventurers are taking after the mauling they received at the hands or claws of the giant mantises a week ago. So let's go ahead and get our stuff organized here. We have our character sheets. Our leader, Brun-Dax the Mystic, is still out of action. We don't need the druid. So Dot-Raff, Karn-Esh, and Wargame are leading the 5 men-at-arms in foraging and gathering supplies so they can push on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map here. We are right now in this subhex 2224-12 according to the new numbering system, and we want to get down here to Karn-Esh. So the group has decided that in order to avoid the druid here, they are going to go due south as best they can and then turn to the southwest and head for Karn-Esh. So that is the plan for next week after everyone has healed up and is ready to travel. Now, we're going to go ahead and use the daily play procedure from the Kal-Arath book rather than the weekly turn procedure because we are going to be foraging and not traveling, and we don't need to abstract this quite as much. So the way that the daily play procedure works is you have your exploration. You roll for the weather, you roll for getting lost, you roll for forage, points of interest for encounters, and then camp, you check off your resources, do your recovery at the end of the day. So that is our procedure. I want to put that right up here. Now, on this map, can you all see this? Yeah. On this map, the camp is right here by the river, and it's in this little bit of a valley, the lowlands here. This hex is hills, the valley continues, the river continues in this direction. We have grass on 4 sides and forest to the north. And that is derived from here, looking at the map here. Let me zoom in on that for you so you can get a better picture of that. Okay. So where we are is right here. So you can see grassland, hills, grassland, 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 and forest, and then the river flows in this direction down to Karn-Esh. Now we're going to go ahead and the party's going to split up into 2 groups, and they're going to explore some more of these hexes, looking for not only forage for food, but for other resources. They found some Valcash here, they found some Nightshade here, which is all valuable stuff that they'll be able to turn into cash when they get to Karn-Esh. We are also going to be keeping track of food and water here on a daily basis. We've got this all prepped out for the next 7 days. This is the water and starvation track, or water and food track, thirst and starvation from the outdoor survival game. And I've also been doing a little bit of thinking and chatting with some other gamers about this. And when you don't have any food or water, we're going to move 2 squares to the right. So where it is here, 0, 1, everybody is here because they've been on short rations. So right now, everyone is here. And if, for instance, they don't find any rations and they weren't camped next to the river, that would be 1 whole day without food or water. And so what we would do is we would mark off both of these like so, and that would bring us down to -1 on the movement track here. So they would start at 4 and we would cross this one off, and they'll still be at 4 movement points. But then that will begin to drop as they continue to not have food and water, and 3 movement points, 2 movement points, 1, and finally 0, where they can just linger on and slowly die. So that's how that is going to work. But right now, everybody has 4 movement points, which are the weekly movement points. And since we are operating in a 5-mile hex rather than a 25-mile hex, we're going to have 20 movement points per day. And because they're foraging, that will be cut in half. So they'll have 10 movement points per day to move around in this hex and do their foraging. So if they run into things like hills or perhaps a marsh or something like that, that will slow them down. So they don't want to get too far from camp, especially if they run into some obstacles. This hex has raised ground in it. We're going to call this hex hills. It does have a cul-de-sac that we discovered last week. So let's go ahead and we're going to break into groups. Dot-Raff, Karn-Esh, and Wargame. The 3 of them. Wargame is going to stay in camp with Brun-Dax so that he's not alone because he is out of action. So Dot-Raff and Karn-Esh are each going to take 2 of these men-at-arms. So there's 3 archers and 2 spearmen. So one of the archers will also stay back. We'll say Erd-Raff. Let's have Erd-Raff stay back with Brun-Dax as well. So there'll be 3 of them just in case an encounter sneaks up on them, because we will be rolling an encounter for them. So we'll make our notes here. Brun-Dax, Wargame, and Erd-Raff will be in camp. Dot-Raff will take Tharos and Ordric, and Karn-Esh will take Vatloro and Gidor. So those 2 groups are going to go foraging. Foraging we will go. So the first thing we're going to do, we have weather. Check it out, the weather chart. See if it was safe outside. The weather chart is table B, right here. We are currently at 6. We'll roll 2d6 for any changes. Because we're doing daily, we're going to do a road change. So we roll a 10. If this were weekly, we would just go to 10 and it would become mostly cloudy. But right now we're going to go and we're just going to add 2. So 6 will change to 8, which will be clear. And on a 1 to 2, we have a breeze. A 3 to 4, we have wind. And on a 5 or 6, the temperature is going to drop. 5, low temperature. All right. So that is weather for the day. So this is day 2 that we're on right now. The next thing we're going to do is go foraging and see if we're going to get lost. Dot, Tharos, and Ordric are going to go north and check out Hex E2. So this is 1 point along the river, and then 1 point possibly to get into E2. So let's see what kind of terrain we have in E2. So we're going to use the campaign hexagon system. We're going to roll on the general table. We'll roll a D10. That's a 3. So we're going to stay flatlands. So we're just going to draw a little grass symbol here. So that'll be 2 points for them. And then that's where they're going to forage. And that's in here on page 25. Foraging results. A 1. They find nothing. So day 1, Dot went to E2. So they're going to go over to F2. So that will, let's see what F2 is. That's a 4. That will also be flatlands. So that'll be 1 more point. And what do they find in F2? 4. Good harvest, 3 rations. Nice. That is a big help. So they have, this is hills. Hills are, hills are 2 points. So they've got 7 points left. So that'll be 4 and 5 and 6. So they can get back. So they're going to come down to G3. G3 is a 9, hydrographic. And we're going to assume that that's also grassland, that that's going to stay the same. Hydrographic terrain, a 1, another rivulet, which is 2 to 12 feet wide and 1 to 6 feet deep. So it is 6 feet wide and 6 feet deep. So we have a little rivulet here. Let's see, where does that rivulet flow? Let's see. I'm just going to write rivulet, draw a squiggle there. We're going to find out later. Now let's roll for their foraging result. A 4, which is again good harvest, 3 rations. And now we'll come back into F3. Let's see what's in F3, what kind of terrain we have. 3 is flatlands once again. All right, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 movement points they've used so far. And they're in F3 now. And our foraging result is a 1. All right, so that's 5, 6, and 7. Let's go ahead. They can move here, and they can forage in E4. 2, hard luck, no food. And then they'll return to camp. So that's 2 more. So they used 7 of their 10 points. They've got 3 points left. They're going to come down into C4 and forage there's a +1 mod for foraging near the river. So they're going to come to C4. +1 modifier. 6. Nice. So they're going to get 5 rations plus D6 doses of an herb on the following table. And that is going to be 3, which is Tarnak berry. These berries provide a burst of energy when ground and drunk and remove the need to consume a ration that day. Nice. D6 doses of that. 3 doses. 5 silver pennies each. Fantastic. That's going to be a big help. So they'll go back to camp, and that'll be the end of their day. Now let's do Karn-Esh. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I didn't do an encounter for them. Let's roll an encounter for them. There's an encounter on a 5 or 6. No, they did not have an encounter today. All right, Karn-Esh. Is Karn-Esh going to have an encounter? No. Okay, perfect. Let's also check for point of interest. See if Dot found any kind of cool point of interest. Because I forgot that too. Black die is the 10s. 12. They found a sunken cistern. All right, so there's a sunken cistern somewhere. We'll figure that out later. All right. Let's go ahead and roll for the point of interest for Karn-Esh. 14. A Nomad Bazaar. Wow, I wonder what we can buy at the Nomad Bazaar. Okay, so that's really cool. So they're going to run into some nomads at some point when they're doing their foraging. So I think what Karn-Esh is going to do is they're going to make their way around this way and explore these hexes down here. So first off, they're going to go to C4. And they'll get a +1 for the river. A 6. Perfect. So they'll get 5 rations. And since we already know there are Tarnak berries there, they find 3 doses of Tarnak berries. Awesome. So that is C4. So they're in C4. I need a little marker for this. Let's put this little die here. Let's go down to B4. B4. That'll get a +1 again for the river. A 2 becomes a 3. And 3 is adequate, 1 ration. And then they're going to move into B5. Let's see what B5 is. B5 is 3, which is flat land, so this will be grasslands. 1 more point. And then they'll roll for their foraging. 1, no food. Let's go down into C6. C6 is 5. 5 is uplands, 1 to 6. So uplands, 2 boulders. There's a boulder field here. Okay. So B5, we're going to call that 2 points. Boulders. I'm sorry, C6. C6. They did B4. What did I just do? I just got myself confused. B5. Grass. All right, we're going to use this forage. Let's roll for forage. 4. 3 rations. Okay. If I messed that up, please don't light me up in the comments. I apologize. And let's go back and count our... So, 1. C4 is 1. B4 is 1. B5 is 1. And then C6 is going to be 2. 1, 2. C6 boulders. And foraging in boulders, we're going to give that a -1. A 0, no food. Alright. Now, we still have 5. We can still get back to camp. So we're going to go up into D5. D5 is an 8. Alright, so we're going to run into an animal here. So we will have an encounter, but let's roll for the terrain. If the terrain is going to be a 6, lowlands. So we'll roll on the lowlands table, a D20. 16, there's a defile. So we're moving into D5. There's a defile there. That defile is 1,000 to 6,000 feet wide and 700 to 4,200 feet deep. Oh my, there's a real, that's a canyon. All right, so 1 to 6, 2,000 feet wide. Well, this is a 1 mile hex. So we're going to say there's a defile. It's about like so. And 7 to 42, that is 76. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whew. 10, 20, 25, 31. That is some kind of terrain. And there's also fauna there, so we're going to need to check on that as well. We're going to call that 2 more points. And now we need to do a little bit of abductive reasoning. Let's look on our fauna chart. We are subtropical here. And that's a D20. No, I'm sorry. This is going to be semi-arid. We're going to use the semi-arid fauna table. And if we roll a 20, then we're going to roll in the Kal-Arath encounter book for foes. So let's roll that. 15. Ooh, a copperhead. Let's roll the bones. On a yes, that means someone's going to get bit. On a no, that means that they discovered it prior to anybody getting bit. So it's a yes and a no. The tiebreaker is a no, so no one is bit. And let's see if they can just evade the thing. Yes, they're able to evade it. And we've used 7 points. It looks like it's going to take definitely 2 points to get back. Let's go ahead and do our foraging. A 6. Fantastic. That is what we needed. Rare bounty, 5 rations. And we have 1 dose of Valcash. Down on the side here, we're going to put Valcash. Valcash is a rare plant for dyes and inks. It's worth 20 silver pennies. All right, so we're going to head back up here into D4, which is Grassland Rivulet. So that's 1 more point. It gives us 8. We will, let us put the Nomad Bazaar here in D5. They are down in the defile with their bazaar. First of all, let's see if we're received with a friendliness. Yes means friendly, no means we're driven off. Okay, so the Nomads are not friendly and they will drive us off. And let's see, are we able to escape? Yes. They are unfriendly and drive us off. Okay, so now we're going to go from there up into D4, which is grass. That is the 8th movement point. We'll roll for our foraging. And we also know that there's Valcash here. 6. Nice. 5 rations. And more Valcash. How much more Valcash? 2. All right. And then 9 brings us back into camp, where we can forage one more time. Or 2, there's no more food there for us. Okay. So, that is our foraging for the first day. Wow. And that, we're at the 30-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here. And I'm going to go through this process again for the other hexes and the rest of the week. Yeah. So I'm going to do that for the rest of the week and the rest of the hexes. We're going to go ahead and explore these hexes as well. And we'll roll for encounters. If there's anything really crazy, I'll make a note of it and come back and add that onto the tail part of the video, and then let you know where things stand at the end, because I don't think we want to go through another 20 minutes of this each day for the next 6 days. So I'll be right back. Okay, here we are back again. This is the end of day 2. Karn-Esh and his company took a little tour, and instead of subjecting you to all the rolls, I'm just going to read you what they found. They started here. Let me zoom in for you. Okay. So, of course, they started here at the camp. They went down to D4, where they were able to forage for 1 ration, but they did not get any Valcash. Then they went to E5 over here and discovered a hydrographic terrain, a brooklet, and 5 rations. Then they went up to F4, where the hydrographic terrain continued, and it's a rill, a little bit smaller. And then they went on to F4 to G4, and they found 1 ration in F4 and 3 rations in G4. And here's a streamlet, which I went ahead and connected. So there's a hydrographic feature, a rivulet that grows into a streamlet, becomes a rill, and then a brooklet. And then I decided, you know what, it's going to run down into that defile, and there's going to be a lake at the bottom of that defile, and that's why the Nomads have their bazaar there. And it turns out, and we'll roll this up together, but Dot-Raff went to the bazaar, and I rolled on the bones to see if it was going to be friendly, and it was 3 yeses. So they were enthusiastically greeted, the explorer, Dot-Raff, more so than the warrior Karn-Esh. So I think there's a little bit of a thing there. So anyway, we found this, and then they made their way up to E2. I'm sorry, F2, 1 ration, E2, no rations, D1, no food, no rations, down to D2, where they found 5 rations and 4 thun spores, and then down to D3, where they found 5 more rations. So that is a total of 20 rations, which actually is 5 days worth of food. So that's pretty good. And now they're back at camp. So let's go ahead and roll up this Nomad Bazaar. I think this is kind of fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the encounter builder from Silver Nightingale, and I'm going to zoom back out so you can see this whole thing. And what we're going to do is on the way to the bazaar, Dot-Raff is going to first go to C4 so she can get a forage with a +1. And I keep forgetting the explorer gets to roll with advantage. I keep forgetting that, but that's all right. That costs us. So 3, and a 3 is adequate. We'll get 1 ration. So in C4, that's 1 movement point. We're in C4. We get 1 ration. And then we're going to follow up into D4. Again, 1 more movement point. And we'll forage with advantage. That's a 7. Perfect. So we're going to get 5 rations. And we're going to find some more Valcash. 4 more Valcash. Perfect. And then they're going to come into D5, and they're going to forage up on the, or over here by the stream. This is a mile. There's plenty of room. So they're going to forage over here. They get a +1 again for the river, and that's another 7. Ah, perfect. So they're in D5. That's 1 movement point. 5 rations. And there's more Valcash here as well. So let's see how many Valcash they get. 3 Valcash. So now she's got 7 Valcash on her. And the Valcash is worth 20 silver pennies. So this is 7. So that's 140 silver pennies worth of Valcash. So let's keep that in mind as we come down into the defile, following the stream to the Nomad Bazaar. So we're going to skip encounter type and encounter size. It's definitely a group. It's a Nomad Bazaar. I'm not sure how many there are, but it doesn't matter because we're not going to fight them unless that becomes necessary. Now, they are trading, and we've already found that they're going to be friendly. So let's go ahead and let's look at another chart we have for points of interest and encounters. Now, these charts we're going to look at right here, these came out of Wilderness Point Crawl from oh goodness, they're on Drive-In. I'll put it down below here so you can see it. What do they have? What do they have? Oh, Atelier Clandestine. That's who made it. All right, let's see here. What kind of stuff? Troubles. I'm looking for stuff here, people. All right, that doesn't help me. I'm going to hit pause for just 1 second. We're going to find another oracle. Hang on. All right, that was a little more trouble than I was expecting. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Treacheries of the Troublesome Towns for the Bazaar. And if we look here, we have food on page 81. So if we go to page 81, optional rules, it says we can roll on the Victuals subtable under Zillion tables. Food shops offer exotic foods such as Anotrian cheese or Bzirian honey for D3 silver pennies per portion. Each shop only sells one type of victual. You can imagine what they are or roll on the Victuals subtable. So if you mix at least 3 different victuals, you can heal 1 life or 1 madness. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Zillion tables, which is back here, and under the Victuals subtable, it's D66. So let's roll. Where's our D average? 3 times. So we're going to roll 3 times. What do they have? They have a 22. $43 and 56. 22 is Giant Wasp Crackers. So that implies giant wasps. 43 is Crispy Lorelei Brisket Rolls. I'm not sure what a Lorelei is. And then 56, Red Rum from Ciclia. Red Rum from Ciclia. All right, so that implies a Ciclia. Somewhere there's a Ciclia. Okay. Let's do one more food type because that rum isn't a food. 41. Gremlin Sirloin. Nice. That's fun. Gremlin Sirloin in Charat sauce. Okay. And all of these will be D3 silver pennies per serving. Now, let's also see what other kind of shops, what other kind of things we have here. It says roll a D8. There could be an artisan workshop, a flesh shop, a health shop, services, and supernatural. And we can go to the appropriate shop table. So let's see how many we have. 5. So we'll roll 5d8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 7, another 7. So 2 services. A 6, 3 services, and 2 1s, 2 artisans. Okay. So the artisan workshop, we're going to roll 2 for that. A 4 and a 7. So we have an armorer. And an exotic shop. Roll a d8. A 1. A fortune teller. Okay, that's a lot of fun. Now, let's go ahead to 6 and 7, which are services. All right. Roll 2d6. We have a 6. And in our tavern, so this will be like a tent where people can hang out. For each day spent here, recover 1 life and 1 spell or power per character. Steeds cost 1 gold piece per day. Each morning. We're going to skip that. We're going to go straight to the services here. We're going to roll a d6. A 2. There is a storyteller. The intent. There is a storyteller. It says that there's retainers for... We're going to skip that because it's Nomads. We have a 10. A trainer. Non-magical skills can be learned here. We don't have time to learn a skill, so we're going to skip that. And we have 6 once again. Let's roll again because there shouldn't be a double. 2 for a bank. That's not appropriate. 12. An inventor. Cannons, firearms, and lockpicks are for sale. You know what? That's not appropriate for the Nomads either. Let's do gambling then. And the soldiers, while Dot-Raff is getting food and victuals and what have you, the soldiers are going to go to the gambling den. Now, the gambling den here it is. Gambling games. What do we have? D66. We have 2 games. They can play 33 or 43. Roulette and critter fights. Alright, each of these men-at-arms has D6 silver pennies. One has 5, one has 3. Alright, that's easy enough. 3d6 for the champion, 2d6 for the challenger. If you bet on the champion and it wins, your net winnings are 3 gold. If your bet was on the challenger and it wins, your winnings are 5. Okay, so here's what they're going to do. Silver pennies. One has 5, one has 3. They're both going to bet 2. Soldiers bet 2 silver pennies, and they can win silver pennies at the gambling den. Alright, so we have 3d6 for the champion, 2d6 for the challenger. So one of them will bet on the champion, and one of them will bet on the challenger. So they'll do 2 games, and we'll roll these dice. Let's get... These are going to go all over the place. All right, so the champion has a 12. The challenger has an 8. So the champion, we're going to win 5 silver pennies. And then for the second game, the champion has a 10 and a 4. That's 5 more silver pennies. All right. In the meantime, Dot-Raff is negotiating to get some food. She's going to buy a bunch of this food. D3 silver pennies per serving. So, D3. Wasp crackers, 2. Brisket rolls, 3. Red rum, 2. 1. No, just 1. That red rum is cheap, cheap, cheap. And the gremlin sirloin is 1. Alright, so 3 different ones for each day for each person. 2, 6. That's 6 silver pennies. I'm going to do a little math. 6 silver pennies. Into 140, that's going to be 20 for 120. With a little bit left over. So she's going to get 20 days of rations worth. Dot-Raff will trade 120 silver pennies worth of Val cash, 6 Val cash, for 20 servings. Yeah. 20 rations. And then she's going to get 20 rum rations for 1 Val cash. Actually, you know what she's going to do? She's only going to do 5 rum. And then she's going to go see the fortune teller. Where's our fortune teller? Oh, exotic shop. Fortune teller. Da, 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 da. Fortune teller, fortune teller. How do you do a fortune teller? It doesn't say how to do a fortune teller. Well, we have dice for that. She's going to spend 15 silver pennies, and if she can get 2 yeses on these 3 dice, she'll gain an extra fate point. Nope. Okay. Fortune teller, 15 silver pennies. For inaccurate fortune. So we have +1 phantom fate point. And we'll figure out the rules for that when it happens. What we'll do is we'll say, okay, we're going to spend a fate point. We need 2 yeses to get it. We'll see if we can get it. That's what we'll do. Needs 2 yeses on 3 dice. All right. So now at the end of day 2, everybody is back in camp. Dot-Raff has collected 20 rations. Karn-Esh has collected 20 rations. Sorry about that. Let's put this in the middle. They had 30 rations. They used 9 yesterday. So they have 21 here. That is 61 rations. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 9 is 45. They only need 45 rations to get through the week. Now, Brun-Dax is out of action. So what's going to happen is on day 3, Dot-Raff is going back to the Nomad Bazaar. So we were at the end of day 2, we had 61. At the end of day 3, we have 52. No, we are not at the end of day 3 yet. On day 3, Dot-Raff's going back to the bazaar to buy more food. Because we have a bunch of goodies. Day 1, we have 5 silver pieces of Tanakh times 6, so that's 30. And a Valcash, that's 50. And 2 more Valcash. That's 90. Okay, so we're going to take the Tarnak berries. And the Valcash and the Valcash. That's 90. This Valcash is gone. 90 silver pennies divided by 6 is 15 rations. So 15 plus 61 is 76, minus 9 is 65. So that will get us through the rest of the week. 65, 56, 47, 38, 29. We'll have 29 rations. So we'll have 3 days worth of rations left at the end of the week. And everybody will be at 0-0. Healthy, well-fed, and let's just roll for encounters. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 chances for encounters. 1, 2, 3, 4 chances for encounters on a 5 or a 6. No. There are no encounters for the rest of the week. All right. So we are able to, everyone can carry 1 day of water. We have 29 rations at the end of the week. Rations and 9 water that we can carry. Now we can also hopefully find more water as we go along. But now we're on foot. We don't have our wagon or anything. We don't have all that money we spent on equipment is all lost to the bandits. So okay, or to the mantises. So that'll be the end of the week. And let's roll for the weather real quick. And see what the weather does. All right, day 3. Day 2, the weather was an 8. Is that correct? I know we rolled for that. All right, day 1, weather is 8, low temperatures. Day 2, 9 plus 1. So we're going to go to partly cloudy. Weather goes to 9. It's partly cloudy with light rain. Day 3, another 9. So plus 1 will bring us to 10. Mostly cloudy. And 2, no rain. So the rain stops. All right, day 4, 5, 6, and 7. We have a 9. We're going to add 1. That's going to take us up to 11. Weather is 11. Heavy clouds. With a 3, light rain. Day 5, we roll an 8. So we're at 10. I'm sorry, we're at 11. We can't go any higher because it's not monsoon season. So we're going to stay at weather 11. And 3 means we have more light rain. Day 6, a 4. Minus 2, that's going to bring us down to 9, partly cloudy. Weather 9, partly cloudy. And roll a d6, 2, no rain. And then day 7, another 6, minus 1. That would be weather 8. Clear. And 4, weather 8, 4 is wind. All right. So we've had 2 days with no rain, 2 days with rain, and the second day was with wind. So the weather conditions, unless they change, for August 2nd, unless they change, we'll have dry traveling. Unless the weather changes. All right, so there we go. That's the end of our week. And that's another 30 minutes. So it's about an hour. I'll cut this down in editing. That was fun. This is really interesting. There's a Nomad Bazaar. They have some cool stuff. And unfortunately, they weren't friendly with the rest of the crew. But now Brun-Dax is healed. Everybody's healthy. We've got plenty of food for 3 days. Water for 1 day. And so when we come back on August 2nd for week 6, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 to 8 August, we will resume our travels. Let's zoom in a little bit for you. That's weird. Why did it do that? Okay. All right. So we're here. We're going to travel due south. And we'll do this by the day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, provided we don't run into any terrain, will be 1 day. And then we'll turn 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should take us 2 days. So even with an extra day for getting lost or running into some terrain or what have you, we should be able to make it to Karn-Esh with the food that we have. The only issue is going to be water. We might be a little short for 1 day, but I have a feeling we'll run into some hydrographic terrain in here. So I'm going to go ahead, and I made another 5-mile hex. So if we need that, we have it. And what we'll do is we will travel through these hexes here and make our way to Karn-Esh. I am not going to roll for every 1-mile hex in here unless you want me to. Leave a comment down below. We'll see what happens. But otherwise, we'll just roll for getting down there. So, all right, there we go. Everybody's happy and healthy, and we got plenty of food. We're going to be able to get to Karn-Esh. I'm very excited. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all your comments, especially on the Substack. There's been a lot of conversation over there, and it's been a lot of fun. So thanks again. Have a great night, and keep on gaming.